BI and data science from Union Insurance, and his presentation is going to be a case study on fraud analytics. So go ahead, Manoj, microphone is yours. Thanks.
Thanks, Musin. So just a brief description about myself. Well, hello everyone. My name is Manoj Mishra, and I have more than 20 years of experience in heading data engineering, data management, and data analytics practices in organizations like Adobe Systems, Dell, and Pero Systems. I have worked in US, UK, and India before moving to Dubai in 2017. And for last 4 years, I'm driving data strategy of an insurance company where I'm responsible for data integrations, cloud strategies, BI, data science, AI, and RP initiatives. Yeah. So what is fraud analytics basically? Sometimes we are so excited about artificial intelligence and machine learning that we forget the practical role that these technologies play in a broader field of fraud analytics. Now, fraud analytics is an umbrella term which covers a lot of technologies like business intelligence to understand the fraud by doing descriptive analytics, and on the other hand, data science to develop effective fraud detection solutions, right? Fraud analytics is a combination of technologies and also human interaction in order to detect a potential improper transaction, either while it is progressing or even after the transaction is already completed. Yeah. The process of fraud analytics involves gathering and storing of relevant data. That's number one. And number two, mining it for pattern recognition and finding discrepancies, anomalies for a later purpose. The findings of these data exploration are then translated into insights, and that can allow a company to detect and protect these fraud cases. The present slide here that gives a brief overview of the technology stack that are critical for effective fraud analytics in any organization. Well, fraud is a global problem, and it affects almost all the organizations worldwide. Because fraud is frequently undetected and often never reported, it is really difficult to determine a full scope of the global losses. However, there is an association of certified fraud examiners. They have published a report last year, 2020, that shows that around 2,500 fraud cases were reported from 125 countries worldwide. And that has caused a loss of $3.6 billion. If we find the average, it is approximately $1.5 million per fraud case. Leaders in fraud detection and prevention area are actually taking advantage of a lot of new technologies, new tools to harness their data and identify these instances of fraud potentially before they occur. However, if we look at how the business organizations are today, the fraud is actually inevitable. It's not a matter of if you will be impacted by it. It's actually a matter of when you will be impacted. There has been a lot of reorganizations, a lot of downsizing, and also business reengineering, business restructuring that have actually weakened and eliminated the controls. In addition, new information system will also present additional opportunity to commit frauds. Pandemic year 2020 was actually, if you ask me, it was a perfect storm for online abuses, wherein a lot of companies just started doing a lot of things online and where they were used to doing something manually. So in recent years, the development of new technologies has also provided further ways in which criminals can commit fraud. And with the advancement of technologies, fraud is continuously evolving. and becoming more and more difficult to discover it. Or in other words, you can say that using these technologies, actually, the fraud masters are getting smarter day by day. If we talk about the scale in general, any organization loses approximately 5 to 10% revenue every year. Another report states that insurance industry in US loses approximately $40 billion every year. And also fraud is costing UK approximately 73 billion pounds. Now let's talk about the use case that we have implemented on production. And this initiative has been recognized and awarded by Asian Business Review, and we have received Middle East Technology Excellence Award for 2021. So sensing the opportunity in this fraud analytics area, we actually decided to analyze data for our health claim department. For an insurance company, the business revolves around two specific things. One is that how much premium an insurance company collects and how much claim is being paid. So any reduction in paid claim is actually has a direct relationship with the profitability of the department or profitability of the organization or the company. As per current process, however, the claims are paid and settled sorry, by the TPAs. Now, TPA term is a third-party administrators that insurance companies work with for servicing their customers. And this data is sent back to insurers later at an agreed frequency in form of Excel sheets. So as a preparatory step, when we tried creating a data dictionary, that what data we would need for this starting the analytics, what data we actually have within the organization on-prem, and what data we don't have, we realized that the claim paid data, which is very critical and crucial for this analytics, doesn't lie or doesn't have, the insurers doesn't have, we don't have it within the company. It is actually lying with the third-party administrators. Now, TPAs are having their own data subsystems, their own mechanisms to store in different formats, and hence there is no question of data integration possibilities. So you cannot actually have a data analytics in place if you don't have data integration, first of all. And secondly, the claim can happen in any time. I mean, and hence managing a 24/7 data pipeline with TPAs, along with the data integration and the data analytics perspective, they were some of the biggest blockers. So the first thing that we did was to have meetings with different TPAs that we were working with, and agreed on a common minimum data columns that we are going to need for our analytics, and also it's mapping with our requirements and with the TPAs. We then decided on a long-term plan, long-term solutions to actually integrate all the TPA data subsystems through a API integration. So whenever they are actually inserting data or pumping data into their systems, at the same time it is transferred to the insurers, and that will help us providing a data pipeline. And we actually started a different integration project for the same. I'm sorry. However, we didn't ask business to wait till the integration gets complete, because we work with 7 TPAs differently, and it's going to take time to understand their systems, map them, and develop the API for them to use. and integrate the system fully. So what we decided on an interim solution. We thought that we will build an interim solution in the meantime. Something that we can build with the available data sources, right? With the Excel sheets that has been provided by the GPAs for last 5-6 years. So in interim solution, we actually developed a mechanism to upload the claim files, which was Excel file, and then we developed ETL processes, ETL jobs to process these data and extract and load into a central repository, a central data warehouse. From these, we started doing a lot of descriptive and diagnostic analytics for our purpose, and tried finding answers to the from this data. We then build some excellent dashboards for our analytics, focusing on finding the fraud or misuse or abuse of any services that can be. As they are currently now in production and it's very dynamic in nature, I cannot share much about how we are doing it. But here are some of them that we use quite frequently. These dashboards have given us a lot of insights, and when we explored these data, that has helped us in noting many critical anomalies. This was not visible when our team, the claim team, was actually looking at it manually, because they were not able to look all 5 years, 6 years data in one go, in one shot. So again, I cannot talk about all the anomalies that we have observed for this project, but some of them that we have observed was that huge anomalies between the treatment date and the delivery date was observed. And wherever the difference was more than a year, that was reported as anomaly. We were also observing some anomalies regarding too many claims per day per doctor. Now, there can be a question that what number is too many claims, right, per doctor? So we decided to report anything that was 20% more than the mean of number of claims per doctor from our historical data. We also observed unnecessary medications prescribed by various ailments, prescribed for various ailments. I mean, again, the question can be the same, that how do we, being in technology, can identify what medicine is actually unnecessary, right? So again, the answer is the same, that what we looked at, that what other providers are providing for the same ailment. Now, provider, you can think of like a hospital or a clinic where a person goes for any ailment. That is a provider in the claim terminology. So if you check that, okay, for a specific ailment like knee injury, what are the medications have been given by various different hospitals or doctors in past. And if somebody is actually prescribing something which is not there present historically for that ailment, probably that might not be a necessary medication. And we have reported that also as a anomaly. We also observed a few providers that all the claims were going as fever or any specific ailment like backache, fever, like that. So again, if the reason is same, so how can it be possible that all the patients who go to a specific doctor, if he is not a specialist, right? How everybody is visiting to him for the same ailment on a specific day. So that was also reported as an anomaly. We also observed the overvaluation of services or overcharge for service. Again, if the charge service was more than 40% more than what was charged historically by other hospitals or other clinics in past, so we treated that probably that's a little overcharged, and it's better to raise that as an anomaly, right? We have actually observed many other insights and reported anomalies through various dashboards to our claim team and the business team, and they in turn started looking at it. Empowered with these insights, they investigated further, and they started having discussions with the providers, with these TPAs, and in last 1 year, I can quote the number because we are collecting the figure, you know, what is the collection and recoveries that we are making. So we have a specific proof of it. In last 1 year, the organization was able to recover and collect 3.4 million dirham, which is approximately $1 million in last 1 year. And if we include the saving to implement this solution on-prem, the total cost becomes like 5.2 million dirham or $1.5 million that has been added to the company profitability last 1 year. So this is a key differentiator and a real big value delivery. For this initiative, we have been recognized by Asian Business Review, and we have received Middle East Technology Excellence Award for 2021. As you know, the fraud is a dynamic phenomenon and it keeps on changing. As a next step, we can train machine learning model to detect the frauds on the fly. If you remember my previous slide on the dashboards where I actually showed a lot of names, we have actually collected all these information for recoveries and collections that you can treat it as an agreed fraud or agreed event of abuse or misuse of services that can be used as a data set for a labeled data set for the future analysis. And when we will have a long-term solution in place wherein we have the capability to, you know, to integrate with the 24/7 data pipelines to our TPAs, we will have a capability to detect and reject fraudulent claim on the fly. So we will not be reactive anymore. We will become a lot more proactive. One more point I would like to mention here is that this is a repeatable process and it can be implemented as a product idea for any insurance company or any TPA. With this, I conclude my presentation today and would like to open for question if anyone may have. On the screen, you can have my contact details, make a note of it, and feel free to connect with me if you need any help regarding the same. So Musin, can we open for questions now?
Yeah, sorry, I just went for an apple. Fine, yes. So waiting for the questions on the chat area. Jose Matias, thanks for your presentation. This project was fully internally developed. If not, what skills and resources were you missing? Jose is from AstraZeneca.
Yeah, thanks, Jose. I mean, definitely this project was fully internally developed because we have seen in past, we have burned out our hands trying different vendors. It's like it's a wastage of time. That's what my personal experience has been. So what we thought of, we tried small. We tried with the domain knowledge that we have. We added technical knowledge for sure. Skills, resources, we hired a couple of resources, but mostly we converted the data analytics people into learning how they can model it, how they can learn R and Python. So it's a combination of hiring a couple of resources and majority turning them and coaching and mentoring them into new technology domain.
Thanks a lot. Can you stop sharing the screen so that we can see the screen better? Jose, you have the microphone still. If it is clear enough, the reply, or you have further questions, Jose?
No, thank you so much, Manoj. And then if I can complete my question, were you mostly getting your talent internal to the company, or were you hiring from outside? And because I'm thinking if the business knowledge was really what was most important, or the technical capabilities for data crunching and building the architecture was the most important part?
Asiya, it's a great question, Jose. I mean, I would say the question is why not everybody is able to do it, right? I mean, the answer is simple. If you start doing an analytics, the data is the biggest challenge. You start doing an analytics, you will find, okay, I have a lot of data, but nothing is relevant, or partially it is relevant to the analytics that I wanted to do. And the similar was for our case as well. I mean, as I mentioned, right? I mean, the key data for the claim paid data was lying with the TPS, the third-party administrators, and they were having their own data subsystems. They were storing, somebody was keeping data in a data warehouse, somebody was using Oracle, and they all are separate entities. Somebody sits in some other office, and there are seven to eight such offices, 7 to 8 such systems. And if you have to deal with a 24/7 data pipeline, it's a very tough task. I mean, that's when we identified an opportunity, and we started another new project for that, integrating directly with the TPS. However, we should start doing something on what we have. I mean, start small, then build big on top of it. So to answer your question shortly, majority we believed and relied on existing resources by training them, by mentoring them, training them, giving them time to learn and understand the technology, because they are the best people to apply them. If I hire a vendor, we have seen the vendors, none of the POCs were successful in past what we wanted to do. And it was a sheer wastage of time and efforts on both the sides. So we preferred that.
No, great approach. And on doing the ETL instead of forcing your platform into the different partners, I think that was a wise choice. Sometimes people go for the big project, but at the end of the day, you want to solve the problem. So yeah, great.
Yeah, it minimizes the integration efforts that you have to do ultimately. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
The second question here we have, I appreciate if Sumanta, you are now, Sumaduta, you are now having a microphone possibility as well, if you can.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you, Manoj. This was a really insightful presentation. I'm Shomdata Sinha. I am currently with Visa, but I have had quite over 3 years of experience with an insurance firm where I worked on analytics. So my question is just to understand how has fraud been leveled in case of instances where we are talking about unnecessary medication? Because I understand that you have to like put a threshold and go through maybe a lot of descriptive data before you can level a threshold of unnecessary medication, and that also will have a differing threshold depending on the sort of ailments that we are dealing with. So how was this decided? What sort of data was collected in terms, and did you have it across hospitals, across doctors? How did you proceed with the same? And only then because this will have great implications on and have a lot of impact on people who are coming in for medications, and health is very serious. It's not just about marketing analytics or stuff of that sort. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for that question. So yeah. So I mean, I think I explained that briefly while I was presenting that part. So historically, we have like 7 to 8 years of data that were actually being submitted to by the TPAs to the insurance company in form of Excel sheets. So all those data has been, uploaded and then transformed and loaded into the centralized data repository. Now, for unnecessary medication, again, what we checked historically, we checked, okay, for this specific ailments, how many occurrences have been in place? Okay, suppose an example, 500 such cases for a backache or a fever or any specific ailment, you name it. If you check historically, that ailment have been present and people have been prescribed by different hospitals, various doctors and clinics in past. So, basis of that, we reported that as anomaly, that okay, it looks to me, but because nobody has provided or prescribed this medicine for any specific ailment, this specific ailment in past historically. So we reported that as anomaly. Now that anomaly, not necessarily that all the anomalies of similar case were agreed like a fraudulent case or a misuse of or a abuse of, because that has got no impact on providing that medication to the customer. So please don't take it wrong. So what happens is, if a patient goes and visits a doctor or a hospital and doctor prescribes that medicine to him, right? That medicine is being rejected or approved by the TPA, third party administrator.
Right.
They have specialists, they have doctors, right? What we are doing is, it is after, it's a after effect. So, okay, the transaction is completed. The patient has been gone to the hospital. He has been prescribed a medicine. Approval or rejection has already taken place, and that the transaction has ended. Now, what we are looking at it, for us, does it look like a unnecessary medication by being provided by a provider or a hospital to a number of patients? Did you get the insight here?
Yes.
So if I find out, and if I provide this insight to my claim team and the business, they go and have more investigation by having the discussions with those providers that, okay, why? So we also have doctors in our claim team. So they go and have a talk about why this medication was necessary. So to identify that if there is a misuse or abuse of service. So similar of these instances had taken place on various anomalies that was reported, and as a result was the recoveries of 3.5 million dirham or $1 million in last one. So when it is agreed, right? When it is agreed, then you can treat it as, okay, it's an agreed case of a specific misuse, and that is then converted into a labeled data set that it's a misuse of, right?
Okay.
So that will be used for future.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry for the long explanation.
No, I was looking for that because this is a very interesting case in case of healthcare analytics, and I actually have a lot of interest in the same. So which is why I asked the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Mduta, thank you for the question. So I would like to thank you again, everybody, for getting engaged. There is another question before Sean giving you the microphone. So now Ashish Sharma is asking, hi Manoj, thank you for the presentation. Just a thought, we can detect many fraud, but cannot prevent all the frauds. What's your take on this?
I mean, definitely there is nothing 100%. I mean, it's all, you can better yourself by identifying, because see, don't take it like detection of fraud cannot be done by any algorithm, right? You can always tell that, hey, you know what, it looks like there is some anomaly because it doesn't look like historical data. It doesn't match with that. It doesn't go in line with that. So it looks like an anomaly. So the expert of that area in context to what we are talking, a doctor will look at it. Okay, is that really necessary or not? And he can identify and he can then correct it. So the action can then be taken. But you are right. I mean, I'm in the same opinion that you cannot prevent or all the cases, but you can definitely minimize. You can definitely minimize and try improving it.
Thanks a lot. Manoj, thank you so much for the presentation. It was lively, lovely, energetic. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you very much. Thanks,
Yeah.
everyone. Have
Thank
a great
you.